During this video, I'm going to demonstrate creating tasks with TaskAssure. So when you go to the TaskAssure website, which is TaskAssure.com, you can go to the My Tasks tab to start interacting with your tasks. The first thing you'll need to do is sign in. Okay, so we see here my list of existing tasks. You can look at another video for how to interact with your tasks. But this video we're going to create a new task. Click on the link to create new task. So when you're creating a task, you're really defining the types of verification that you want to occur during an activity or a task. You'll be entering three sets of information. The first is that describes the task, such as the name and description, and when and where it will take place, and who will perform this task. This will be another TaskAssure user that you will be monitoring. The second section involves what types of monitoring do you want to occur. We call these checkpoints. So you'll fill in the checkpoints to describe for a specific task the kind of monitoring you want to occur. And finally is the task notifications, and there you'll define whether you want email or text messages during the task. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in the form, and I'll stop the recording and then restart occasionally to emphasize some of the information. Okay, I've completed the first section of the Create New Task form. As you can see, I've defined the task, walk with Mr. Doe. This is my imaginary father, and apparently he needs to exercise during his recovery from hip surgery. And I've assigned someone to walk with him to make sure he goes for that walk, and to keep an eye on him and to help if there's any problems. I chose the category fitness trainer. Entered the date for today at 11 a.m. The address is automatically filled in for us from our profile. That's just because the TaskAssure assumes that your tasks will happen more frequently at your own home address. Of course, if this isn't true, you would enter the proper address. It might be your father's house, for example. It could be any address, obviously. Right now, TaskAssure is not right now restricted to U.S. Use. And the final piece of information is very important, and that's the person that will be performing the task. We call it the task provider, and you need to enter their email here. And the system's going to check whether or not they're a currently signed up TaskAssure user, and if not, it's going to warn you that that it must be a TaskAssure user. The next section is to define the task checkpoints. These are the activities that we're going to monitor before the task starts, and during the task, and then as the task is completed. So I'm going to walk through these with you to help understand how TaskAssure works. And for example, before the task starts, in the case that a person is going to perform an activity or task, when they arrive to the location and at the right time, they're going to tell TaskAssure they're ready to start. At that time, TaskAssure is going to perform any of these first checkpoints to verify that before the task can start, the provider has satisfied these. So for example, if the task that you've created, you want to know exactly the person assigned is the exact person that was there, The way we do that is you would verify the identity using facial recognition. And so you might have chosen someone very carefully to perform a task or activity, and you want to know that they haven't asked someone else to do it for them. Maybe they've got certain expertise that you wanted, or you're concerned about security and so forth. So you would enable this by checking the box. If you're not concerned about the person, the specific person performing a task, then you just would not check this box, and they would not be required to identify themselves with the TaskAssure facial recognition. The second potential item to verify before this task starts is the start time. So in some cases you're concerned about whether or not a task is started on time, and other cases you don't care, or maybe have a very large window of time. So for example, in this case, I'm going to say that I do want the start time to be verified, and I want it up to 30 minutes before my scheduled time, which if you remember was 11 a.m., and up to 60 minutes after the scheduled time. So any time in that window is okay with me. Next is whether or not you want to verify the location before the task starts, so that when the person clicks the TaskAssure Start Task button, you want to make sure that that person is within the location that you've asked them, and in this case, the home address. And we will check it using GPS and other location sensing capabilities of the phone, and we'll make sure that they're there. Another nice feature is providing a verification password. So the way TaskAssure works is that if all of the task checkpoints are successfully confirmed, then we will provide a verification password to the provider's smartphone app for TaskAssure, and then they can share that password with the person at the entryway to the home. So this would be a way for a family to coordinate when they're providing services. And so let's say your father's at the home, and this individual's been hired, but you want to make sure that he is comfortable that you have really okayed this work. So maybe we would say the password would be GoDad. Okay? So again, what will happen is TaskAssure will verify any of the checkpoints that you've enabled, and if you've not enabled them, we don't verify them. And then if all of those are true, then we will download the password to the smartphone, and the person can show that password, or tell the person at the front door what the password is. This is a nice kind of final checkpoint that your family can say, for example, only people that know this password should be allowed into the home. Okay. So then there are similar checkpoints for the during and after task. So we can continue to verify and track location. We can verify work with photographs. And then at the end of the task, we can verify time of completion, and again, verify that they were at the proper location. So for now, I'll just leave these blank, and we'll go ahead forward. So to the third section of the form, and this is the care task notifications. So at this point, we've defined the task, and we've defined what sort of verification checkpoints we want. But now we get to decide how do we want to learn about them. And so the choices are, you can either receive no messages, or text and email, or just text or just email. You can also decide whether or not you want to know only when the status of a task changes. So the task will start from pending, and then it will go to started, and that's a status change. And then it would go to maybe to completed, and that's a status change. So for example, if you only wanted to know, receive an email or a text message when status changes, you'd only check those boxes. On the other hand, if you want to know every time a verification step is completed, like if we verify the start time, we verify the location, and we verify the identity with facial recognition, then you'd also check these boxes. And so I've enabled them all. I could have just only enabled text messages or email. If you don't enable any of these, you can still learn about the status of a task by going to your website at TaskAssure.com and going to the show page for the task, and you'll see the details of the statuses and verifications of the task. So it depends on what the task is and how urgently you would want to know about anything that occurs. In some cases, you'll want to know with text messages so that if someone hasn't started a task on time, you might want to choose a plan B, for example. In other cases, you're not concerned about whether really it started. You just want to know later, maybe at the end of the day or the end of the week, you're going to check to make sure those tasks had occurred. So in that case, you might not ask for an email or a text message. You might just visit the website. So I hope that's clear. Final thing we do is just click the Create Task button. As you can see here, it says task was successfully created. And I should be able to also go down and find it. It's going to be on my second page of tasks. And right here it is. Walk with Mr. Doe, July 19th, 11 a.m. Thank you very much.